All right, welcome to part 3 of the Unit 2A practice test. This should be the final part. So we're going to jump in with number 13. Find the slope of the line for each of these. Okay, so slope, if you don't remember, the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you're subtracting your y's, subtracting your x's, finding your slope. So if I look here, my y's are 4 and negative 2. So we'll do 4 minus negative 2. Okay, if I used 4 first, then that means I have to pull from the same coordinate for my x. So we'll use negative 1 first and then minus 3. All right, 4 minus negative 2. Well, minus negative becomes a plus. So 4 plus 2 is 6. 1 minus 3 is going to give us negative 4. And then you do want to reduce this. So I can divide both of these numbers by 2. And my slope is going to be negative 3 over 2. It does not matter if your negative sign is on top, bottom, or in the middle. If there's one negative sign, that makes the whole fraction negative. If there's two negative signs, if there's one on top and on bottom, then they cancel out and you're left with a positive number. All right, so my slope is 3 over 2, or 3 halves. All right, the graph, the easiest one to do, you're going to select two coordinates. Make sure they end up on crosshairs. Like, sometimes it's kind of hard to tell. For me, I think it's sometimes easier to use the two intercepts. Okay, so my change in y. So I want to know how many spaces I go up or down between these 2 points. So 1, 2. Okay, change in x. How far do I go over? I go over 1 space. And then I want to look at the direction of the line. If I'm reading from left to right, is my line going up or is my line going down? And this line goes down, so I need to make sure that my slope is negative. And so my slope is negative 2 over 1, which you can just reduce to negative 2. All right. Number 14, direct and indirect variation. Okay, so direct variation. This says y varies directly as x. So that means there's a direct variation between them, which means y is going to equal something times x. Okay, and that's always your formula for it. So we're going to have to figure out k, and then we can figure out the next step. So we have y varies directly as x, and y is 8 when x is 3. So y is 8 when x is 3. So I need to figure out what k is. So to get k by itself, I'm going to divide by 3, and k is going to equal 8 thirds. Okay, so y is going to equal 8 thirds of x. So now I want to know what y is when x is 2. So I'm going to go back to this equation and plug in 2 for x. Okay, so I'm going to multiply 8 thirds times 2. Well, 8 times 2 is 16. Divided by 3, we'll just leave it as 16 thirds. We don't have to reduce it and get a decimal or anything. We can just leave it there. Okay, so part B looks like the same question, but this time y varies indirectly. So instead of y equaling k times x, we have y equals k divided by x. And again, when y is 8, x is 3. So I got to figure out what k is. So to get k by itself, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. These will cancel, and I have 24 equals k. So y is equal to 24 divided by x. So I want to know what y is when x is 2. So we're going to do y equals 24 divided by 2. So y is 12. Okay. All right, so jot down your notes. Feel free to pause the video and rewind as you need to. And then we're going to go to number 15, which is the constructed response question. And this looks super similar to your real test, guys. Like, you have no idea how similar it looks. Like, it's legit. Okay, Wendy's Window Washers charges an Affordable Care Act tax of $50 in addition to $25 per window washed. Okay, so when we write our function, we're going to start with f of x. Okay, so even if you don't wash it, if you hire them, you're gonna be charged that $50 tax. So, excuse me. Excuse me. All right, so we need to add that $50 in. Plus, every time we wash a window, that's going to cost us $25. And it's $25 per window. Whenever you see that word per or for each or something like that, that means I'm going to be adding that 25 over and over and over again. So we're going to put our x with that. We're going to add 25 x times. Okay, so then part B, we're going to graph this function. So we need to make sure we scale correctly. We want to make sure it's labeled correctly. So our x should be our number of windows, because what we end up paying the company is going to depend on how many windows they wash. So we will 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. And you can skip if you want to. I'm just labeling all of them. And this is the number of windows washed. Okay? And then my cost, I'm probably going to go up by 25 since that's my slope. So 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150, 175, 200, can't count today, 225, 250, 275, and 300. Okay, if you notice, I went up by the same amount each time. It's scaled correctly. And this is my total cost in dollars. Okay. All right, so then I have to actually graph this. So even if she doesn't wash any windows, I have to pay that $50 tax. One window wash will be a total of $75. Two would be a total of $100, so on and so forth. Now, here's a question for you. If we're washing windows, are you going to pay somebody half price to wash half of your window? No, that doesn't make sense. So I'm not going to have, I'm either paying the $50 tax or I'm paying $75 for the $50 tax and one window. I'm not paying somewhere in between. So we're going to leave this as discrete. So it should be discrete. Okay. All right, and so this also asks us to label several points on the graph. So let's just pick a few random ones. This would be 6, 200. So it would cost us $200 to wash 6 windows. Right here we'll do 2, 100. And right here we'll do 9, 275. So we have a few points labeled. Okay. So we should have, that should be everything we need on our graph. Okay, so let's go on to C. Identify the y-intercept. And what does it represent? So if I look, this would be my y-axis when x is 0. When x is 0, y is 50. So my y-intercept would be 0, 50. Do not forget that 0 comma. I know I'm telling y'all this, half of you will forget, and I'll have to mark it off. I'm just being honest. So don't forget that. I don't want you to be one of the ones that I mark off on that. So 0.50 is my y-intercept. What does it represent? Well, what costs $50? That's the Affordable Care Act tax. So that's that $50 tax that they have to charge. All right, identify the slope. Okay, well, what am I increasing by? So a lot of people are going to say my slope is 1. I'm going up 1 and over 1. But when I go up 1 square, I'm going from 50 to 75. So 1 square is worth 25. So I'm going up 25 and over 1 space. So my slope is 25 over 1, or just 25. What does that represent? That is how much each window costs. So that's the cost to wash each window. Okay. Alrighty, that should be the entire practice test. Let me double check, make sure there's nothing on the back of this page, and there's not. So that should be your entire practice test. I wish you all the best of luck on the real test. Thank you so much for watching the videos, and I hope you guys have a great day. Good luck on this test.